Not usually that way. Hi, everybody.
Hello. Welcome to the Between the Covers book club. The first official book, because I did do a non-official book. Everyone smile.
Hi.
So we read Murder, She Sold by Ray Riley, or attempted to read it. It is a debut, so do know that if you read it.
Ooh,
it was very much a debut. But
did you see the new cover? The illustrated one? Oh my god, it's so cute.
Like, I know. I'm like, do I want to buy it?
That's a cover that she should have led with.
It's true.
Yeah. I love that cover.
It's very cute. I like
it. It is.
Why does it never show me my lives on Instagram?
I was trying to find it and I didn't see it, but
like, why is it never on here?
Oh, there it is.
It's showed up on my main one, but I can't find it on. Okay, whatever. It's fine. Well, if people are coming in, what are we currently reading? Let's start with Monika. And say who you are and what your channel is, and then what you're reading.
Okay. I am Monika from Burn This Book Addict, and I just finished a reread of Shelter in Place by Nora Roberts because I'm in the I want to reread mood, but I decided to pick up Pretty Ugly Promises by C.W. Farnsworth because I heard it was a second chance romance where she had a baby he didn't know because she couldn't tell him, and apparently he's part of the mafia. I was like, okay, that sounds fun.
So I was wondering if that was the soccer one. I just got a soccer one from, I thought, that author, but maybe not. That book. It might be a different.
I read the soccer one and it was not good.
Oh no! Okay, so that was an author. Okay, I was like, I'm pretty sure.
Well, so I thought it was gonna be like culty because it's like soccer coach athlete.
Yeah.
It's not.
Okay, because that's why I was intrigued. I was like, I love culty. I love soccer. Like, pretty sure.
I'm so excited for Striker. Like, you have no idea. Anna Wong.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at newer books coming out. So
I'm trying to see if it was that book or was it Claire Contreras that has a soccer one? Maybe both of them do.
I don't know. It could be Claire Contreras. I have yet to read one of her books.
Remember? No, it was C.W. Farnsworth. Okay, that's the one that you read, Melissa.
Yeah, it's like first. I don't remember what it was called, but it was
first
soccer
one. Final fall.
Yes. Yeah, I read it. I want to say last year.
Okay.
And it's not one. I was like, oh, culty vibes, like, and then I read. I was like, this is not like culty at all.
So I haven't yet to read anything like culty.
The only thing I have is Scoring Wilder by R.S. Gray, and that came out like 10 years ago, and it was so good. But I haven't read that many other soccer ones.
I hope she publishes something soon. I would love another Mariana Zapata book.
That's been a while.
I think she said she is working on something, but I know she's republishing Trad some stuff, so that might be like carrying her over for a little bit, but I don't know.
What about you, Jess? What are you currently reading?
I am reading Law of Love by Lottie Moore, which is a bodyguard romance. I thought it already came out, but it doesn't come out until the end of the month, so I'm a little ahead on this arc, which I'm like, yes, I'm getting ahead. I thought I was late. And it's good so far. Like, she has to live in his mom's house because her dad disappears because he's part of some bad things. And then he's home for like Christmas and he's bodyguard, so that's fun.
Yeah. Is it a Christmas romance?
It's not a Christmas romance. It just takes place around Christmas time.
Okay, so I'm going to pretend it's a Christmas romance then. Like Die Hard.
Not to that extent, but I am also listening to There With You. Is that book 2? They all have the same title by Samantha Young, and that one has a lot of Christmas in it. I was surprised.
I know.
Yeah. I was like, oh, it's Christmas
I've
morning. No one told me this was a
I
Christmas romance.
binged that entire Deer series. I still have yet to read the next book in the Highland series because I binged the entire Deer series, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, I need a break from her for about a couple of days at least.
Well, so I read Northern Twilight, and that's Lewis, and There With You is when he's like 7, and I was like, what the heck? Like, I just read his romance as an adult, and then I'm reading it backwards, and I'm like, oh my god, he's like a child. It was so funny. I really liked it.
So last year I read Beyond the Thistles, and then I was like, I need to read the Adair series because I needed to know. So then I binged the whole Adair series.
Okay.
And then so now I'm like caught up on all of that. And so I read Northern Twilight too. I loved it.
I should have
I
done
love
that.
Surprise
That's like
Baby, though.
the logical sense to read the Adair series first and then this one.
Well, I mean, technically I did because I did read Beyond the Thistles. So
yeah.
What are you reading, Melissa?
I am reading Quicksilver, and I'm really struggling with it. Like every time I pick it up, I like fall asleep. But everyone says like push through like the first like 30%, which is like it's frustrating to say that. Like push through and then but then it's supposed to pay off. So I'm giving it a little bit more time because I'm only at like 25%. But I've been reading it since the first. So
Question.
I finished P.S. You're Intolerable today.
How was that?
It was as good as people say it is. It's so good.
Okay,
Very
good.
good.
I think I have that out on KU, so
I have.
That's on. They have you can get the audio for cheap too, and the audio is pretty good.
Oh,
My
it's Whisper Sync, so cheaper.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look this up.
So my Libby hold for When the Moon Hatched came in, and I looked at the time. Is it worth listening to? Yeah.
I gave that one 4.5. I really liked it.
Okay. All right.
I'm already
Yeah, it finally came in. I have had it for and the Paradise Promise came in and the Game Changer came in. I gave the Game Changer 5 stars. That was so good.
Is that the Alana Ferguson?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they all have the same names, so I'm like, I know it's sports romance by the name, but I don't remember which one that is.
I only haven't. The only one I haven't read up from her is The Nanny. The rest I've read, and I love them all.
They're so good. The Nanny was good, and I'm excited for her Loch Ness Monster one, which should be fun.
I'm really excited about that. So,
have you guys read Rally?
I just finished Rally yesterday. That was really.
It was
good.
angsty, Jess.
It was so angsty.
Surprise pregnancy.
Yes, but it was angsty.
Yes.
There's a lot that goes on. It's very angsty.
It's not your typical surprise pregnancy. Like, they're not together just because they're having a baby.
I know, but like even with Northern Twilight, as soon as she's like, I'm pregnant, I actually did start like losing a little interest in the story because I was like, even though they weren't together because she was pregnant. So
no, this one's better than Northern Twilight. Like, I mean, I really enjoyed Northern Twilight too, but it's so angsty. The amount of like, it's so good. Okay, but yeah, we should.
Okay, so I guess let's continue.
So I gave it a 3.5. Generous because it is a debut, and then I'll probably round it down to 3. But I had a few issues. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Monika, what did you rate it?
So I was being very generous when I gave it a 4.5. About what I read it back at the beginning of August. I read it I think in July, and I forgot.
Hey, you read it the month you were supposed to read it?
I literally forgot everything about it.
Yeah.
I had to go back and look at my notes, and I was like, no, I put it down to a 4 because it is a debut. But if I was going to be truly critiquing it, probably would be a 3. because I think it was mismarketed.
Oh, was it? So when I am like reading a book and I don't know how to feel, I go look at reviews on Goodreads to see if they can like justify what I'm feeling or not. And like a lot of them did say, I know, because okay, I DNF'd it at 25%. I'm just gonna put it out there. I could not continue reading. It was just like I wasn't gelling. And both of you were on my sprints last night. I literally was falling asleep. So I was like, I just can't focus right now. And I think like the biggest part, especially about the beginning, is there were so many characters too. And I was like, I don't know who's like who is who are all these people. And it didn't seem like there's a lot of urgency with the mystery. And so I was expecting like a lot more of her taking part of the mystery when it seems like only he really was. So maybe you guys can like know more.
There was no mystery.
Okay.
It was not a murder. Like there was a murder.
Yes.
But there wasn't a mystery. Like it was very much like when I read, because I read it physically, when I read like physical books, I break it down into like 25-page like sections to like read, and then like because otherwise I fall asleep while reading. Doesn't matter what book I'm reading, but I had 75 pages left yesterday, and the mystery didn't start till then.
Isn't it like 350 pages too? Like it's not short.
The physical book is 426. Yeah, so it was not a murder mystery.
It was like the mystery was the afterthought. I did like the romance. I actually did like the hero.
Me too. Like the romance was cute, but it was very much mismarketed. Like it wasn't a murder mystery. It was a small town romance with like a lot of small town antics. With like she like tried to make it suspensey and but it was like really close to the end.
Okay.
Kind of how like Samantha Young tends to do, like the end, like her ends are always, and like she doesn't, like Catherine Cowles builds it up throughout the whole book, but Samantha Young does it better because she like there's like little hints of what it might happen, but like this book, it was like, I mean, other than the murder happening in the first chapter, there was nothing.
It was out of left field.
Well, and I feel like Samantha Young at least markets hers as small town romance and not full-blown romantic suspense. So like you know what you're getting into. But I honestly was feeling like cozy mystery with like a romance at its center. Because I just got done reading Meet Your Baker by Ellie Alexander, which was small town cozy mystery. And this one just I was like not feeling it with that.
No. And that's what I was hoping with this. And that's why I picked it and asked you guys to join me, because I know that that's like those are books that you guys enjoy. But then it wasn't that.
So Meet Your Baker, I gave 4 stars, but her new one, I loved.
Oh, the
Body in the Bookstore.
Yes, because she had 2 on the same day, and I have.
I know. I'm waiting for the next one to come out on audio. It comes out in 4 days, the same day as Wisteria comes out. So I have to figure out which one I'm going to listen to first.
Is the audio at the library, or did you buy that?
It's at the library. It's on Hoopla.
Gonna go look at that before I forget.
So, yeah. I liked the ending of this though. She was a little.
It was cute.
She was a little.
Oh, spoil away. Totally fine.
She was inept. She was inept. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When she was trying to, so she gets kidnapped by this biker gang that her father was was doing business with, and he screwed him over and stole a bunch of wine, which is the reason why that woman was killed. And they kidnap her to get her father back, but her father doesn't care about her. So she's like, I'm going to have to save myself. Well, good for her, except that she tries to go into a vent, one of the ducts, and she gets stuck. And the hero comes in and saves her.
And it was just very like it was all very convenient. Like it was cute the way he like, because it was a callback to the beginning when he pulled her out. Like he was like, why do I keep finding you like stuck into things? But it was like, because it happened so late, like you knew there was no stakes to it. Like you're like, it's a romance. They're gonna end up like, you should have had the kidnapping a little bit pat, like, you know, I mean, you knew it was, but yeah, it was like she tried to do too much. I think like she had like the motorcycle gang, small town, the wine stuff. Like it was all like there was just too
It's,
much, and like if you would have narrowed it down a little, and then there was just so much like day to day life, like
so
Yeah.
Nora
that was
Roberts does day-to-day life, and I can handle her day-to-day life because it makes sense for the plot of the story. It shows the characters and the way they develop, and it can help with the mystery or the suspense plot in her books.
yeah,
My thing with I think Riley Ray or Ray Riley.
Ray
Um,
Riley.
okay, so here's my take on her. I think she has potential. I really do. Her writing, her characters were good. They were well thought out. The plot was interesting enough to keep me going for the most part, even though I was like, okay, when are we going to get to suspense? When are we going to get to the suspense? I'd like to know what's going to happen. But I liked the romance. She did a good job on the romance. There's a little too much sex scenes in there for the amount of pages, because some of that could have been, she could have dropped Easter eggs, like these little red herrings and stuff throughout the narrative, right? She could have done that. She didn't do that, but that takes time, effort, and practice. Because if you look back at Catherine Cowell's first books, they were a little rocky, but as she's gone through, her books have gotten much better as they have continued on. Where same with Nora Roberts, because I've started reading all her old stuff, and it's a little rocky, right? You can feel the age, but as they continue to practice their craft, it just gets better and better and better. I think she has potential, and I will absolutely read something else that she writes. She just needs more practice and to have alpha or beta readers who read romantic suspense that could help her through it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, like
Now I'll get off my
I
soapbox.
filmed my I filmed my mid-month wrap up today, and I was saying like this book has some amazing quotes. Like there are some like
Yeah.
quotes that some of the characters say that it's just like there's like quotes about like just life, and it's like, oh, that hit home. Like there's some quotes so it has a lot of potential, but yeah, she needs to kind of hone in on her craft. But like I said, so I was telling Monika backstage that I bought like the transparent sticky notes so I could kind of like take notes to remember things. And so on page 155, I put Tilly's the best. Like that's her cousin, and she was like the best character. I loved her. And then I said, I wish we were getting more of the murder mystery, or at least Vivian's past, because she kept like saying, "Oh, I don't want to be here because of what happened in the past," but we didn't get that till like later in the book. And I'm like, it would have been nice to have that like sprinkled in and more. And like, I had a tab for mystery, and I had like used it like one time because there was nothing mysterious about the book. So yeah, it just needs. I do see there being potential in the future. She just, I mean, it was a debut. It was very much a debut.
Yeah, and, like, what you said about the, like, not knowing about her past, I feel like we were literally just, like, dropped in, and it took me a while to, like, really kind of, like, get my bearings of what was happening, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden we were meeting all these characters that she was meeting, and I was like, "Okay, who is who? I can't keep this straight," and then she's like, "Oh, yeah, and then there's my mom who's actually back home where I live, and, like, we run a business together," and I'm just like, "What is happening with all these people?" And yeah, and then, like, her dad and how she doesn't have a good relationship with him, but he had, like, asked her to come. So it just needs a little bit, like, better structure and, like, where
Yeah.
things should be introduced when and how. So,
So she didn't need all the characters. I feel like sometimes when you have small town romances, they want to have all these really, really as many characters as you can. Think about Stars Hollow and all the crazy people in Stars Hollow. The one thing that I do like with Samantha Young, Kristen Proby does this as well as Catherine Cowles, is that they focus on a core found family. Even Laura Pavlov does this as well.
mhm.
And so it helps with knowing who's really important. We don't need to know who's manning the grocery store. We don't need to know unless it's very crucial to the story. We don't need to know all these people. And if
Yeah.
her mom it wasn't crucial to the story, she could have just said, "Oh yes, my mom's back home," in a conversation quickly, like, "Oh yes, my mom's back home. She's keeping down. She's helping with the business or whatever." Something to say yes, to show us that yes,
Yeah.
she has a mother. She's alive, and yes, she is in Texas doing whatever. My thing is with the father, I wanted to see more of his skeeviness.
Yeah, he just
He
like the
just
thing was like he just wouldn't
he was
answer
just
the
in
phone,
and
and it
out.
was like there were so many conversations of like her saying, "Oh, he won't answer the phone, and we won't answer the phone," but then other people were like, "Oh, he's answering the phone for me," and it's like, well, what's happening like with him? So, but I
Yeah.
am like I would definitely because I think the next book because it is technically a series because it's the Darlington Realty series. I think the next book is her cousin Tilly and Tobias, who's one of the bikers, and they were like childhood best friends turned enemies. So like that one, like if she like it has
Ooh.
potential because he was like because in the epilogue, like it kind of like he's like Tobias is at because so Vivian decides to move to Darlington and open this real estate agency with Tilly. And Tobias is there and but he like is like in the background. And so like because then in the epilogue it switches to like being in Chris's mind, like the third person's from like Chris's point of view, kind of. And he's like talking to Tobias and he's like, well, why don't you go up there? And he goes, I don't think Tilly would appreciate it. And like every time he sees like there's hints throughout the book, like every time they see each other, that they something happened. So and she's a single mom, so I think that one will be like if she tones it down a little bit on or like learns how like figures out a way to like market it properly, I think it has potential to be really good because of the tropes and things that are going to be part of it.
Yeah, and I actually liked Tobias's character. He helped save the heroine in the end.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
he
he
was
called
not a bad
Chris.
person.
No, so I think it'll be interesting because like maybe he's like in the biker gang to try to like take it down. But
That'd be
That'll be
cool.
fun. I do like
yeah,
those tropes. So
Yeah. There's
yeah,
only a
I
few
think
who've
this one.
really done biker well. So,
I mean, I would assume it's like biker light and not like
Yeah,
yeah.
full blown biker romance. Yeah.
I would like
definitely.
maybe like the Clifton Ford series or possibly Ashley Munoz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Not so much Fallen Men.
Yeah, I mean, Fallen Men is more like the grittier, the grittier biker. Even Ashley Munoz, I would say, is a little bit on the grittier side with that. But
Yeah.
I do. So we talked about like before we came on here, but it's interesting that she chose to write in third person. And I don't know like what makes authors like choose to write and what point of view, but I feel like a lot of romances today do write in dual POV, single POV,
yeah,
so that it's like first person and we get in their head because I felt very detached from their characters from the beginning. And like we were talking, I was like, I never actually like really noticed what POV like it is, but like in this one, I was like, it just felt so apparent that it was third person because it felt like I was reading about them and not like in their heads. So it was even harder to really get like attached to them as characters in what I read.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Um, like there are a few who can write third person seamlessly where I don't even notice it, but I did notice it on this one.
But I'm like, who writes in third person?
I mean, most
Some
historicals are, and I feel like I don't notice it in historicals.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes. It feels like
Nora
it
It's
fits
Roberts
in that
does.
genre. I don't know why.
Yeah, Nora Roberts does. I've read I think it's Serena Bowen that had third person. There's some who'll write first person for the heroine and then in third person for the hero. That kind of bothers me a little bit half of the
That's
time.
weird.
I'm just like, it's weird. I think it's their way of trying to show voice. I don't know. But no, I'm not the biggest third person fan. A lot of traditionally published do third person though. Not all, but
Sarah J. Maas writes third person, but she has 750,000 characters, so you kind of have
Kind of has
to.
to have.
Yeah, and that's fantasy, which I feel like is very similar to historical. So like I've
Yes.
never had a problem with it in historical romances. Like that's when like I usually
Yeah.
never notice and it never bothers me. But in this one, I'm just like, I don't know.
I notice them in historicals when they do first person, and I notice it and it bothers me for some reason.
Mhm.
But when it's third person, I'm like, yeah, okay. For historicals.
And like, I kind of wish like because of how much Chris, like how hard Chris fell for Vivian, I wish like we would have had Ben and like had the third, even if it was third person from his, like had a little bit of that just to kind of break up, because I felt like she was a very frustrating heroine.
Mhm.
Like,
I mean, but now that you say that, I got 25% in, and I was like, I don't know anything about the hero. Like he was barely on page unless it was pertaining to like her and the investigation, which we said barely happened. So interesting.
It was very much like insta attraction, like
For sure.
So if you have you listened to Crystal from Crystal Books Life? She had she read A Love Letter to Whiskey. She did not read the 5th anniversary. She read the original, and she's like, I wanted more from Jamie, I think his name is, because she's just like, she was frustrated with the heroine by the end, right? And I was like, did you read the 5th anniversary? She's like, no. I was like, well, there's your problem. You needed to read the 5th anniversary because then you got that extra bit.
I haven't even read his part yet. I only read it before 5th anniversary even came out for Love Letter to Whiskey. But I love that. I mean, there was still like angst in that, but like since this was just
the angst in that's real.
That is just
this one.
Like, I need
this
more.
Was just, it was a cutesy romance. Like it was nothing special. I probably won't remember it. I'm kind of mad that I bought it, but
I didn't remember it. I also
still might go buy the new People edition because it's just so cute.
Yeah. And that's a fun cover, like with the door, since it's like it has to do with like her realtor stuff. So
yeah.
And it was a cute meet cute. Like I thought it was cute. The description kind of threw me off with the whole scene because I feel like it was very like drawn out. And I just like didn't know how to explain how I was feeling during that. But when she was like stuck in the window and he was like, what are you doing? It was a long scene. And I was like, she's just stuck in a window. Like how much more can we spend like in this moment? But it was fun because he was like, the police officer finds her and then there's a dead body inside. So I did like the setup.
Yeah.
It had, and my thing was, because like obviously I live in Texas, I live in the South, so ma'am is like, coming from California, it was like, please don't call me ma'am, I'm only 30 years old. But now I'm like, I'm used to it. But this girl was raised in Texas, and she's like, why do you call me ma'am? It's like, you were raised there, you know, like it's a common thing.
I didn't even think about that.
Okay, so
that bugs me.
if you've ever lived in the South or Texas, they always call you ma'am, and I always tell people to stop ma'aming me. I'm not old. Right? I'm like, yes, ma'am, and I'm like, don't do that. I was like,
but I feel like I do catch those things if it's like you're from that. So like the what I'm reading right now, it takes place in the US, but the author makes a note that it's like British English, and she keeps on calling college. Like I have college in the morning, and I'm like, no, you have classes in the morning. And like, but like because I know that it like really sticks out, and I'm just like every single time they use it, I'm like, ugh.
That's why I have a hard time with books set in the state of Maine, because I grew up there, and I read one that was so egregiously bad. Like, I don't even think she Googled anything or even looked at a map. So it sort of turned me off. So when I read a thriller from Serena Bowen, it was the 5-Year Lie. You could tell she was there. It was like going back home. I was like, oh my gosh. So I still have to read Archer's Voice. I promised I would read Archer's Voice. But it takes place in Maine, so that's why I haven't read it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's why some of them I have a problem with because they get it wrong. There was one book club where they're talking about It was Samantha's cozy mystery book club, and they're talking about Mainers. And one thing with Mainers is that I wasn't born in the state of Maine. My mom was. She left because my dad was in the Navy. When they got back, she's still considered a maniac. That is someone who's born and raised. I lived there for a good portion of my life, but I'm still an outsider because I wasn't born there, if that makes any sense. And that was from my Aunt Bunny, who was born and raised and stayed there all her life. So there's this sense of people are outsiders. So in this book, she did it well, but everybody's like, that's not what a small town's supposed to be. It's like in the state of Maine, it is.
Very different, you know.
It is. We're here, they're very happy, and they're like, bless your heart.
Well, yeah, you're in the South too, so.
I'm in the South. Yeah. I actually like the South, though. The South is interesting.
But I have the same problem with people write like California, like, because Northern and Southern California are two different places. Like they're very different. The lifestyle, like the way things are, they're very different. And people will write romances set in one, and it's like, no, that's in Northern Cal. Like that is an 8-hour drive. They are not going there casually on the weekend. Like that is a trip that they are planning. This is not a casual, leisurely jaunt down the highway. Like,
I think it was the Jasmine Guillory's first book where they both lived in California, but it was a long distance relationship because they literally had to fly to one another. And I was like, but you live in the same state. So it just blows my mind because in Ohio, I'm in the middle and I'm 2 hours to every border. Like that's how big Ohio is. It's 4 hours from end to end. So to think you could take like 8 to 10 hours in the same state blows my mind.
I went from the third biggest state to the second biggest state.
I know, even Texas is giant.
Yeah. Texas it's short, but it's huge.
Yeah.
Wide. Like if there's a one freeway that runs or highway that runs all the way from California to Florida, and half of it is in Texas. It takes you like 2 days to get all the way through Texas.
That is crazy.
Going on that, so
can't get anywhere. Just go.
I have never been to Texas. I've never been to California.
California is hot. Texas is hot.
California wasn't even that hot, and I went in August. Like Texas is like, ugh, you just like feel the heat.
Yeah.
It's oppressive.
Well, you went to Southern California too, where it's warmer than where I'm from. So.
Yeah, because we were in Anaheim. It was hot one day, but like for the day we did Disney, it was nice and like overcast, and it was like not even 80 degrees. And I was like, oh my gosh, like California is great. When we were in Texas, it was like 105.
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't cool down ever. Like it's 105. Like it is 6:30 and it's 99 degrees outside.
Ugh, no, thank you. I would die. I would literally die if I had to live there. I think our high is like 80, and I'm like, that's enough.
I think one of the funniest things is the people from Europe, when they come here, they're like, oh, you can go from, they're like, oh, I'm going to, I think it was that they're going to New York, and they're like, oh, I can go down to Florida or wherever quickly and then come back. It's like, no, you can't.
No.
The state of Texas, the state of Alaska is basically all of Europe. Like if you took Alaska and put it on Europe, I mean, Alaska's not connected to the United States, but it is. But like,
yeah, they think like 3-hour drive is short and is long, and I'm like, no, 3 hours. I'm like, oh, it's only 3 hours. Let's go. Like that's fine. I'll drive that. But they're like, oh, 3 hours is so long. Like,
I mean, from where I'm at in my state, it's 5 hours to the Outer Banks. It's only 3.5 hours to Charleston. So
both, I'd be like, let's go on vacation. I'll drive 5 hours is nothing.
Well,
like, let's go.
Nope.
So I grew up in San Jose, California, and then I went to college in Fullerton, which is right next to Anaheim. Like they're connected. Like so, and that was like a 6-hour drive. And I was like,
Okay.
oh, it's easy. I could do that. Like, it's not a big, but now like living in Texas, because like I don't like to drive now. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like everything's so far away. I'm like, I guess I'm just gonna stay in my area of Texas, not go anywhere else. Because there's nothing like between. So like there's nothing from like Dallas to Houston. There's nothing in between the two. There's nothing in between Dallas and Austin. So it's like there's nothing to look at. It's not a fun drive.
So I like doing long
At
drives
least
with
in California, I had the ocean to look at when I was driving.
Yeah.
So.
True.
Yeah. Have you ever
But I
been
think
to? Oh, go
I think
ahead.
I'm gonna end the live because
Okay.
there's anyone here, but we can still talk backstage. So
Okay.